On a night ferry crossing a river in southern China, a young scholar sat with his legs stretched wide, boasting of his great learning. Beside him, a simple Buddhist monk listened quietly. Then the monk began to ask questions about the emperors of the Han, the music of the Tang, the names of ancient generals. One by one, the scholar fell silent. Slowly, with great embarrassment, he pulled his legs back in. Zhang Dai witnessed this scene and was never the same. He understood, in that moment, that a civilization lives only as long as someone chooses to remember it. Zhang Dai was born in 1597 into one of the wealthiest families in Shaoxing, Zhejiang. His family had produced scholars and officials for 7 generations. As a young man, he had everything: a private garden with lotus ponds, a personal theater troupe, the finest Zhejiang tea, and banquet tables that never went cold. He wrote that a man without obsession cannot be trusted as a friend, for he has no deep feeling. Zhang Dai had many obsessions, and he devoted himself to each one with his whole heart. His greatest love was theater. Zhang Dai trained his own opera troupe, 30 performers who lived in his household and studied under his personal direction. He wrote about opera with the precision of a musician and the longing of a man in love. In his garden pavilion, by the light of lotus lanterns, he would watch his performers for entire evenings. He was never simply watching. He was memorizing every gesture, every silence, every breath between lines. Every year, the lantern festivals of Shaoxing turn night into day. Zhang Dai walked through the streets like a man walking through his own heart. He noticed everything: the way silk lanterns swayed in the river wind, the smell of street dumplings in cold air, the sound of children running over stone bridges with lanterns in their hands. He did not know he was writing his farewell. He was simply alive. In his most famous essay, Zhang Dai describes rowing alone to the center of Westlake on a night of heavy snowfall. It was after midnight. Every fisherman had gone home. The world was white and still. In the pavilion at the lake center, he found 2 strangers warming wine over a fire. They were astonished to see him. One said, "I never expected to find another madman out tonight." He called himself a madman, but it was the beautiful kind, the kind that rose into the dark to see the snow fall on still water. In 1644, the Manchu armies swept south. The Ming Dynasty fell. Every world Zhang Dai had known, the markets, the opera, the lanterns, the harbor, ceased to exist in a single season. He fled into the mountains of Shaoxing with almost nothing. The merchant ships in the harbor were seized or burned. The stone streets, where he had walked with lanterns in his hands, went quiet. He was 47 years old. He would live in this poverty for 40 more years. He slept in a stone room. He ate mountain roots and pine seeds when he had nothing else. He wore the same gray robe through winter after winter. The contrast between what he had been and what he had become could have destroyed him. But Zhang Dai possessed something that poverty cannot take. The past was more vivid to him than the present. In his mind, the lanterns still burned. Zhang Dai wrote his masterpiece, Tao An Dream Memories, in this cold room. He described it as writing about dreams, because the world he remembered felt like a dream now. He wrote about the lantern festivals, the opera performances, the crab-eating feasts, the midnight snowfall on Westlake. He wrote with heartbreaking clarity. His preface begins, "Looking back on all my past pleasures, the music, the theater, the lanterns, the mountains, it all seems like a dream I cannot wake from. I weep." But memory alone was not enough. The night ferry had taught him something deeper. That memory must become knowledge, and knowledge must be preserved. Zhang Dai also wrote the Hang Chuan, the Night Ferry, a vast encyclopedia of Chinese civilization. He organized astronomy, history, medicine, music, official customs, plants, and poetry into a single systematic work. He labored on it for decades. The monk on that river had been right. A man who cannot answer has no right to take up space in the world. Between the candle and the darkness, between the man who had feasted and the man who now starved, Zhang Dai built a bridge out of language. Every sentence he wrote was an act of refusal. He refused to let the world he loved vanish without witness. The lanterns his memory burned with the same heat as the lanterns in the street. Writing was not nostalgia. It was resistance. Zhang Dai died around 1680 in his 80s. He outlived his dynasty, his wealth, his theater troupe, his garden, and most of his grief. Before he died, he wrote his own epitaph. It reads, in part, "I was a man of great fortune who became a man of nothing. I loved beauty. I squandered time. I failed at everything except memory. And because I remembered, nothing that I loved was truly lost." Today, scholars hold his manuscripts with careful hands. Tao An Dream Memories is studied in universities across China and the world. The Night Fairy Encyclopedia fills library shelves. The crab feast he described in 1630. The snow on West Lake he rode into after midnight. The lanterns he memorized while walking home. All of it survives. Zhang Dai understood something most people never learn, that to remember with love and with care is the most lasting thing a human being can do.